This episode is brought to you by HASA. Liquid is clearly better. Liquid chlorine is the highest purity, works immediately, has no added cyanuric acid or calcium, and it will leave your pool safe, clean, and clear. And by the bottom feeder professional grade battery powered vacuum system. It sucks to clean pools, so cleaning pools sucks less. Get $100 off with code DVB100.
This episode is brought to you by Skimmer, the #1 pool service software in North America. With Skimmer, you can streamline your schedule, grow your revenue, and keep your customers coming back with 5-star service. Whether you're a one-person operation or an established team, Skimmer is your partner in success. Visit getskimmer.com/poolguy to try Skimmer for free for 30 days.
The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show.
Hey, welcome to the Pool Guy Podcast Show. In this episode, I'm going to talk to Terry Arko of HASA. We're going to discuss different topics. And in this first one, we're going to talk about fires in your area, the ash, the water quality, all things kind of related to if there's a fire in your area of service. Are you a pool service pro looking to take your business to the next level? Join the Pool Guy Coaching Program. Get expert advice, business tips, exclusive content, and get direct support. From me, I'm a 35-year veteran in the industry. Whether you're starting out or scaling up, I've got the tools to help you succeed. Learn more at swimmingpoollearning.com. So I'm joined today by Terry Arko of HASA. How are you doing today, Terry?
Well, I'm doing great, David.
This is part of a series that we've been doing now, these monthly podcasts, and we talk about different subjects, and we have quite a lot to cover today. So why don't we start with the wildfires in California? I was at a recent event actually over the weekend and met a couple of people that lost their homes during the fire. It's pretty interesting hearing their stories and how they struggle with rebuilding and just all the pain of that kind of loss. There is another side that affects the pool industry as well, not to discount any personal loss. I mean, meeting someone who lost their home, it was really powerful to see, what they're going through.
Yeah, that's absolutely. I think that's the ground zero, and that's the place where you just, I just feel for those people because I think the devastation of that fire and the cleanup and everything else, and the red tape, the bureaucracy, everything behind it has got to just be really frustrated, especially when you've lost your home.
One thing they told me is that the counselors that they brought in they actually brought in counselors for the homeowners, and they told them it's a good way to get closure to watch them picking up the rubble and clearing the house. And they actually went to the home site while they cleared it. And it was a really powerful moment for them.
Wow. Yeah, that would be something, I'm sure.
So let's talk about the water quality after these fires. And, there's fires everywhere. There's some fires that were in New Jersey. And so we have to think about the after effects of this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think part of it, I know it may seem like it's maybe been a while and we can get past this, but in these cases of the wildfires, and for me personally, I still, as I told you, I think last time we talked, I still have pool pros. I have service techs that are still reaching out to me about their concerns about the quality of the water, what's going on in the pools, even in the outlying areas. I continue to get questions about, hey, I know they were doing this and they were spraying these materials, and what's that going to mean? So I'm continuing to get questions. And obviously this is a long-term thing. And one of the things that I see in my own research and studying of what's going on here in particular is that definitely water, especially in sort of when we say those ground zero areas. And I was doing a little bit of reading the other day too, from like the State Water Resource Board and so forth, where they're saying that they're still dealing with making sure that in those areas where the homes were damaged, where a lot of the fire damage was, and a lot of the cleanup and everything is going on, is that folks need to really be careful going back. They need to really be careful with their water use and what they do until things have absolutely been cleared by their local water resource board. And in a lot of cases, still in some areas, they even have do not drink, do not boil warnings, or it might get to where it's you need to boil the water before you drink it, and so forth. And the one thing I thought was interesting, because they were talking about a lot of the residue that's left in the soil, in the ground, on the environmental area around there, and a lot of these they call them VOCs, these volatile organic compounds that are just all kinds of things. One of the biggest ones, actually, that I guess a pool professional could maybe relate to, especially builders or people that do repairs and so forth, is PVC plumbing. And if any of that PVC plumbing, and that's even plumbing going to the house, or even plumbing that maybe they industrially have used underground, because in a lot of the new piping, when they replace older piping for even delivery, they're using PVC now. And if any of that PVC was subjected to very high heat to where it melted, even PVC around the pool, something like that, that definitely is giving off the VOCs. There's a lot of byproduct of that that's very toxic and very dangerous. So that's definitely something to consider. But they were talking about, when we get into the, I guess even in springtime, where you might get some rains, but anytime you're getting some rains and that rain is causing an overflow, it's not a concern. They don't really feel it's a concern for the drinking water, but it's definitely a concern for any environmental water in the area where that water washes into. And so right away, I think of pools. And I know a lot of times when we get a heavy rain or something, what happens? You get a lot of flow from, especially if your pool is below a hillside, or in an area in a yard like that where it can get flooded. You could have a lot of that sort of leftover debris. You can have that leftover residue getting into the pool as well. So I think kind of for a long time, we're going to have to be, I guess, paying attention to a lot of what's going on in the environment.
There's different levels of this, of course, because the fires in my area were in Altadena. It's about 25 minutes from where I live. And the pools in the area, Glendora, all those areas got tons of ash in the pools themselves. And I was in the Kobe fire way back when some of the pools I had were really affected. It actually burned up to some of the pools I had. There were some heaters that had to be replaced because there was so much ash in there that it ruined the
Yes.
heaters. In that situation where you're in the outlying areas, and this may happen in different areas in Oregon and different places where you get a lot of ash in the pool, what do you think about just when you vacuum it out, changing the elements? Is there still a danger in the water there?
I think the biggest concern there is chemically. You may notice because that all of that material, the ash, smoke, any of that heavy stuff, if you've gotten that accumulating, that's all corrosive material, which I think is why, as you mentioned, some of those heaters or so forth, something, maybe they rusted out or whatever. And I think you might continue to see that in any equipment that maybe didn't get replaced or whatever, but perhaps you might notice that, hey, that motor's starting to rust, or that could be a result of that accumulation of, that corrosive material. In the pool, it can throw the chemistry off. That corrosiveness getting into the water can affect things. And so that might be something where, maybe somebody might be noticing that it just, things in the water don't quite seem right, or getting the chemistry back is taking a little more. And that might happen. I think the biggest thing that's going to happen in those outlying areas that I would say right away, I would get out and do phosphate tests on those pools, because really the biggest thing, we know that all of that aerial material that they're dumping it's pretty much straight phosphorus fertilizer. And it's a very sticky sort of a residue of stuff. They drop it. And one of the purposes of that being it adheres to the ground. It's very sticky, like globules or whatever, I guess, little things, is that they want it to get in the ground, and it has that phosphorus because what they want to happen is they want obviously the foliage to regrow in those burn areas as well, really quick. Well, that's spread out in the atmosphere, and the atmosphere is going to carry that like everywhere in that region. Even if you're far away, like you said, 25 miles, you can still, that can blow and the wind can get carried and deposited into your pool. And this summer, as we go in, I can't believe we're in mid-spring already. We're coming up another month away from Memorial Day, which is the official opening of the pool season for a lot of places. And it's just going to get warmer. Things are going to get busier, and definitely algae could be an issue in a lot of that water there.
So what about draining the pools? I mean, is that something that you would recommend just to be like a cure-all? Would that take care of all the problems if you were in a fire zone?
Yeah, I mean, well, certainly. And if you were concerned about especially toxicity in that water from, as I said, you could have VOCs, you could have, there can be benzene, things like that from the biggest thing with the PVC situation. If you had melted PVC, even underground pipes, if they were melted going to the pool, and those were replaced, you could have residues of VOCs like benzene chloride, things like that. And those are kind of those, I don't know what the acronym is they use for them, but they call them those forever chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
And those are kind of those forever chemicals. It's really hard to make those things go away. And, certainly if draining is an option, that's the best option. But I guess what you need to ensure, especially in the areas closer to the fire, is you got to get with the local water municipality and find out what's the quality of the water, what you can use. Obviously, draining is a big thing, and especially right now, I know that in the areas of the fire, still, I think it's you have to have a permit. You have to wait your turn if you're going to drain, and it's a whole big process that guys, gals, the pros out there need to really. I'm sure at this point they're aware of what needs to be done or what they need to go through from that. But yeah, if you look at it, I mean, draining, obviously, you're going to remove phosphates, you're going to remove anything else that's in there, TDS, high cyanuric, all that. So if you can go that route, it's the best way to go. Now, in these outlying areas, as you're saying, it may not be a matter of, draining completely. You can test your phosphates, see where that needs to be. And maybe just draining a quarter of the pool or just draining down a little bit of the pool, you can dilute it out and handle it that way.
Yeah. And we don't know what's in the ash in a lot of cases. I mean, if it's a wildfire, we know that it's mainly brush and maybe a few deer that get caught in the fire. But with these homes burning, you have asbestos, you have possibly lead paint. I mean, some of these homes in those areas are really old.
Yeah.
How much of, that's a big concern, I think, in that vicinity.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's the biggest thing. And when you have a fire that burns structures, it's not the same as a forest fire where it's just, trees and leaves and, pine needles. And as you mentioned, I guess maybe little critters or whatever. No, you're talking petroleum, you're talking paint, you're talking plastics, ABS, all these kinds of things. And those all, correlate into toxicity, toxic smoke, toxic ash, and residue.
So you were saying the drinking water may be okay, but the pool water is something we have to be concerned about. And the pool guys shouldn't be too concerned about, or should they be concerned about contamination for themselves? I mean, we always worry about industrial hazards. I mean, is that a hazard?
The biggest thing is, I hope that there aren't any pool professionals who drink from their pools.
They fall in, maybe,
fall in. No, but it seems that drinking is the biggest thing. That being said, though, there could be some skin irritation, possibly skin absorption might, be an issue in some cases. Between you and me, in my opinion, and I know, sometimes guys, gals, maybe they don't like to wear the gloves or, things like that. But, I would think in some of these areas closer to, like I said, the areas that were hit and where you could have this residue, so forth, maybe just wearing gloves might not be a bad idea just to protect your hands a little more.
And if you're looking for other podcasts, you can find those, of course, on my YouTube channel. I post them Monday through Friday there, so you can subscribe there. And you can find the podcast on my website at swimmingpoollearning.com. Just click on the podcast icon on the banner. And if you're interested in the coaching program that I offer, you can learn more at poolguycoaching.com. This episode is brought to you by HASA, providing products that deliver clean, healthy water for every aspect of everyday life. The bottom feeder battery-powered vacuum system, portable, powerful, and only weighs 12 pounds. And Skimmer. Get Skimmer, America's #1 pool service software. Podcast listeners can try Skimmer for free at getskimmer.com/poolguy.